Well, what do you know? I managed to wake up and do another one of the Roohaa Degozaru bideo. Hey, don't Hello and welcome back to the Roohaa Degozaru video Buroogu. And I was talking with a friend lately about funny things I want to do for the vlog. And I thought of something. Well, one, there's this video game that or arcade game that I really want to get some footage of because it ranks you according to pineapple or lemon or bumblebee. So I think that would be pretty funny, and you might enjoy it, because I love myself the arcade, and I've been really getting into some kick-ass rhythm games with my buddy the Highballer. And another thing we were talking about was, it was a joke, because the other day there was like a flu breakout, and of course it's freezing cold all the time, and in Japanese schools, because they leave the door wide open all the time. And it's a story the Highballer recounted to me, but I'm going to attempt to tell it to you. So he's, I'm curious sometimes too, like why is the door always open to the school? It's like pretty cold outside, like even by people who live in cold areas, by their standards, it's very cold outside. But the Japanese leave the front door of their school open, and they leave the doors in between the two buildings, because sometimes there's two buildings, you gotta walk from one to the other to get to the classrooms. And they say, oh, well, it's for students so they can get to the room easier. And, the front door's always open because they're like, oh, well, we want to welcome our guests. And so on and so forth. And, it's all well and dandy. But everyone has this habit of saying, oh, samui desu ne. Like, it's so cold, it's so cold. And the hallways are frigid, and these students are all coming down with colds like crazy because there's no heat in the classroom except for one kerosene heater. And they have this big dilemma, like, why are kids getting the flu? Why are they all so sick all the time? And no one stops to think, like, why do you open the window like 10 times a day at school when it's like 15 degrees outside or something in Fahrenheit, whatever, I don't know. But yeah, it's a funny tale, and we laughed, which brings me back to the main point, and what will be the main point of the vlog today is the things most commonly said in the staff room. And typically the last month and a half was just samui, isn't it? Samui. It's cold, it's cold, it's cold. And that brings us to, and basically for a week there, it was, oh, the flu. Have you caught the flu? Who's got the flu? Flu. And nonsense like that. So that brings me to the Shokuin Shitsu Top 5, or as we can call it, the top 5 things said in the staff room this week. And by this week, I mean since the last time I made a vlog, or until the next time I make a vlog. So if it's a week, it's a week. If it's not, it's not. So I went with a couple of general ones because I'm actually going to keep track of this now and ideally keep changing it. So the first, or number 5, what do you think it is? Alright, it is どうやってしてますか? どうやってしてますか? どうやってしてますか means, how do you know that? How do you know that? And how do you know that, as in, how do you know that about Japanese people? And this one comes up quite often, especially for foreigners in Japan, especially if it's the first time they've ever seen you And basically, they always say it when you mention something about Japanese culture that anybody who studied a tiny bit about would know. So, say you walk into a building or, you're sitting in a Japanese style room. Or, before you... Alright, here's a good one. Before you eat food, you say something like, itadakimasu, which is like, thank you for the meal. I received humbly this delicious ornament. And they'll look at you and say, well, how do you know that? And that one comes up when you do anything, like if you recycle properly, people are like, oh my gosh, how does he know how to recycle? And yeah, so that's a pretty funny one. The next one is, here we go. It is, Ohashi Skyemasu ka? Ohashi Skyemasu ka? Granted, my handwriting's a little messy because I'm trying to rush and do it on the fly because I wanted to have that feel of the building tension. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ohashi Skyemasu ka means, can you use chopsticks? And it doesn't matter if you've been using chopsticks for 3 or 4 months, they're going to keep asking you if you can use them. Or they'll say something like, oh, ohashi jouzu desu. Ohashi jouzu desu. And that's when they say, oh, you're so good at using chopsticks. And I don't know, if you're like me or many people who have interest in Japan, they have eaten Japanese food before, or at least, eaten some Chinese food on occasion, and have the ability to use chopsticks, because to the Japanese, it's a secret art, and they didn't send out a message or any classes, so it's funny, which is pretty much a dead giveaway into the next one, which is Nihon no tabemono daijoubu? Nihon no tabemono daijoubu? Which is, are you okay with Japanese food? Pretty much, can you eat Japanese food? Pretty much. Not direct translation, but it's what they're basically asking you. Can you eat Japanese food? And, you'll see a bowl of soup, you'll see rice, and occasionally you see fish, and what else you get dealt. And they will ask, can you eat Japanese food? And I happen to know a lot of people who can't eat Japanese food. They can't eat sushi. They can't eat anything without, setting the 4-alarm crybaby fire. But, I happen to love Japanese food, and I can even eat some of the wacky stuff. Even natto, which I have a buddy or two who love it. But natto it's a beast you'll deal with eventually, and maybe it's even worthy if it's on vlog, but I don't think it deserves the limelight any more than it already has in Kyushoku once a month. But yes, they will always say, Nihon no tabemono daijoubu desu ka? And it'll come up no matter what. No matter what. There's nothing you can do to avoid this. You're gonna hear it, and you're gonna say to yourself, oh, of course I can eat Japanese food. It's delicious. And that is that. So number 2. Sugoi jouzu desu ne. Sugoi jouzu desu ne. Sugoi. Suge. Sugoi jouzu. 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 Jaeger bombs. But Sugoi jouzu means you are super skilled. You are awesomely skilled. And typically it refers to any utterance you make that resembles Japanese. So I walked in the morning and I said to the ladies at the office, I said, Ohayou gozaimasu. I was just saying, good morning. Good morning. And then they say, Ohayou gozaimasu. Or more like, mas. You only hear mas because they've been saying it so long they don't have to say Ohayou anymore. But I try to enunciate my words a little bit. And And basically, you'll hear under their breath, like when you're not looking at them, and I don't know if you've taken any Japanese and you've dealt with Japanese senseis who let the hammer come down harsh from time to time. You know damn well you're not Sugoi Jozu, and you know even more damn well that saying good morning to somebody, or konnichiwa, whatever, or itadakimasu, you know that that's not worthy of a Sugoi Jozu. Sugoi Jozu is like, I just read the newspaper to your grandfather because he can't see. That's Sugoi Jozu. And, you know, it takes a long time to get that point. So don't expect to get it overnight. But you're going to hear Sugoi Jozu the second you step off a plane and say konnichiwa to the first person on the street. They're going to say Sugoi Jozu. They're going to say Nihongo Jozu. You're good at Japanese. They're going to say you're the best at everything, just because you made an utterance. So I don't want you to get too caught up in your ego. And I did not include the flu because it was a one-hit wonder. But the number one thing said in the Shokuin Shitsu, aka the staff room, this week and every week last month is Pasa. Samui desu ne. Samui desu ne. It's cold. Well, guess what, my friends? If it's so freaking cold, shut the door. For the love of Kami-sama. And we're going to call it a Roohaa Degozaru video Buroogu. So, see you next time.